Welcome back. Working on the Valiant again today. Bought some US Car Tool subframe connectors. These are 12 gauge steel, and they're cut to form the bottom of the car to where they look factory when they go in. They're welded in, obviously, and the main things you need to know when you're putting this in is the interior needs to come out, so when you're welding nothing catches fire. So just your carpet, seats, stuff like that. And also e-brake and brake lines, and on the other side fuel lines, depending on the car, could possibly be in the way. My new brake line there, it crossed over right here and goes down the, I guess like the pinch weld, and then cuts back in the back. So I'm gonna have to redo that. It comes out the front right here, and I'm just gonna run it on the inside of the frame rail all the way to the back. So I'm gonna have to redo that. So if you have a car that you're driving and stuff, just make sure you're gonna have a brake line ready or a fuel line ready for when you install these. That way your car is not out of service. I'm gonna go ahead and jack the car up so I can get up underneath there a little more comfortable. Gonna get these fit up to the bottom of the car, and if there's any problems under there, you just kind of grind it down to where it fits the bottom of the car nicely. They suggest you weld an inch at a time, 12 inches apart. That way it has time to cool in between welding, doesn't warp anything. Also, they want to make sure the car is on the suspension. That way the frame's not bent or twisted or sagging, anything like that. So as you can see, we're not quite snug up, so I'm gonna have to mark this and then find what spots need to be ground down. That way we have a nice fit to the floor pan here. Been working on the driver's side for a couple hours now, and as you can see here, there's a couple of like little tab break-offs you have that if you have a little space in the frame or whatever on your model. My particular car has two little indentations in the floor pan right there, so I notched those out. Also these I took off, and this little hump here, mine was didn't have, I guess, an arch right there, but anyway, so I used a little grinder to dip those out. And also up here where the brake line went, instead of rerouting my brake line for now, I'm just going to run the brake line through here. I'll put some silicone in there to make sure it doesn't vibrate and rub a hole in it. And what else? Took off material on the tops of both of these. Took off some material back here, and then I sprayed the inside with some black. That way it doesn't rust once it's put up in there. So this one's fitting the best I can. There's a gap like right here that I just can't get to tighten up, so we're just gonna live with that one. Everything else is pretty good. I'm gonna move on to this one and do the same thing. Under the car, I went ahead and ground off where I'm gonna be welding, so good clean metal there. This is a new floor pan I put in, so that's on an old video. Alright, so David showed up to help out, and we did a little more grinding on this side, get this one to fit a little better. We also, he made the decision that we're going to run the brake line on the inside, so I'm okay with that, even though I didn't want to make that new brake line. But we have it fit up here as best we can, so I'm going to go ahead and start tacking this side in. He's going to go ahead and fitting up the passenger side, and once we get everything fit, then we'll solid weld everything in, then paint it up. We'll be good to go. Have some of the tack welds done, and just have a C-clamp here. Squish those together to where we have good contact on the frame, and we'll weld those in. Then I'll get a jack up underneath it, push this piece up, and then weld it in.
Alright, so we've got the jack down here. Used it to lift that tab up, and then Alex is in there putting a little bead on it. Get it tacked into place.
A little baby fire inside the frame.
Yeah,
That's okay, I blew it out.
He's okay. That's fine. Those things happen.
Yeah, he's out, isn't he? Look in the car.
Nah, it's fine.
Okay. Went ahead and made our first test fit. David's trying to take off the little areas that are high on us. As you can see, just marked it with soapstone there. David's down there cleaning up the bottom of the floor pan, and we have this thing, had these high spots knocked down to where this one fits really good. This one didn't take near as long as the other one. I don't know. It looked like it fit better for one thing, but also I think having some help really was a big factor there. So 2 people made a difference. Now what I'm doing, just like on the other side, I'm gonna spray the inside of this thing with some black. That way it doesn't rust on the inside. And then, of course, when it's welded up, paint the outside of it. Here's the final fitment on the passenger side. And as you can see up here, it's all fitting real nice. Back here, there's a little gap, but as we move, what I was gonna do is spot weld the front and just moving the jack back as we're welding, and all this will tighten up. We already had it pushed up, so. All right, I have both the subframe connectors tacked in. I'm gonna go ahead and finish welding it up. I'm not gonna solid weld them, but I'm gonna get as much welding as I can on them. Then I'll go ahead and undercoat it and show you guys finished product. Good morning. Stayed out here last night welding subframe connectors. Go ahead and show you that real quick. Need to get a light here. But anyway, welded them up. Also sprayed some undercoat on it. So let's see. There's that one. And then passenger side. But anyway, I'm gonna spray the entire bottom of the car whenever I get done. I'm gonna put some rust killer on some of these other spots, and then I'll undercoat the entire bottom of the car. Here's a look from the back. But turned out pretty good. Also on the interior, I went ahead and cleaned in here, scuffed it up, and hit it with some truck bed liner in a spray can. I just put like one light coat on it, and that'll keep all the weld spots from rusting, and also it was just primer from when I installed the new floor pan. So I got that taken care of also. Alright, so one more project knocked off the list there, guys. Got those subframe connectors done. As you can see, we still have a long ways to go. I did order a slip yoke for the transmission, so that'll be coming, I guess, next week. And then I can measure for the drive shaft and then weld the rear end perches on, because that's just in there with the U-bolts right now. So still need a windshield, still need a fuel system, cooling system, so, and exhaust. So lots to do. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you next time.